TRW Steering Systems Limited, based at Resolven in South Wales, is the largest European supplier of power-assisted steering systems for today's global automotive vehicle manufacturers. Employing and empowering over 1,000 men and women, the Resolven plant currently builds over 30,000 power gears a week and are proud suppliers to customers including Rover, Ford, Honda, Nissan and Volvo. A wholly owned subsidiary of TRW Incorporated, based within the US, the company is an integral part of one of the largest and most successful multinational organizations. TRW's global capabilities provide products and services within space and defense, automotive and information systems, generating sales that exceed over $10 billion annually. The history and tradition at Resolven during 50 years of manufacturing excellence is one of applying the latest technology to anticipate the needs of customers rather than just responding to them. Designing and manufacturing superior quality products, coupled with three elements of great importance: reliability, performance and safety, with an understanding that the two greatest components of TRW's success during the past 50 years has been the involvement and flexibility of its people. A flexibility that has undergone and understood the needs of continual change. Through perhaps the fastest and most challenging periods of the high labour-intensive, low-investment industrial workplace, to today's advanced technologies and lean production methods.
In those days, engineering wasn't in this valley, or any of these valleys. It's all coal mining. So when they seen engineering for the first time in 47, 48 and 50, they were taken back. But they took to it like duck like water. As I said, the factory grew then.
I remember old Captain Sankey coming down. Let's go back sometime, 1950. Austins were on stop. Would we work on? And as the girl said, they used to work on 2 or 3 hours a night, no pay.
Down on those tracks, it was absolutely brilliant. Everybody helped one another. If you couldn't do a job, there was always somebody there that would come along, show you, give you a hand. You wouldn't believe the atmosphere that was down on those tracks. It was absolutely fantastic. You enjoyed going to work? Everybody enjoyed going to work.
Mind you, those first tracks you designed were fantastic. Remember those Saturday nights we used to spend you?
Oh God, don't mention it. Every time you came down...
Try to get those programs. We'd be here some weekends, every evening, at least 11 o'clock, Saturday, Sunday nights, right?
I got and say, hand up, I got this working, come and see it. He'd come down, it wouldn't bloody work.
It wouldn't work.
I know it's a cliche to say your people are your major assets, but the changes that have been undertaken, if you like, in the power assembly over the last year, 15 months, have been immense. We've done lots of improvements with our customers, and the people have been a major and played a major factor in these improvements.
Okay. Congratulations on your 50th anniversary. Over the years, Cam Gears has demonstrated that it is indeed a world-class steering organization, in large part because of your dedication and the value that each of you contributes.
There's other very important things that Cam Gears brought to TRW. We have a $1 billion business in rack and pinion steering today, thanks to the innovative skills of the engineers at Cam Gears. Without that, we would not have this enormous business that we have today. So with that, I'd like to congratulate everyone at Cam Gears, at Resolven, for the wonderful job that you've done, and wish you all the success for another 50 years of history.
The history of Resolven's early manufacturing days starts in Luton, a town 50 miles north of London, where George Kent Limited, a manufacturer of water meters, bought in 1928 the manufacturing license to produce Bishop-type steering systems. The Bishops were in great demand with Britain's fledgling motor manufacturers, and within months of starting production, the firm was unable to cope with demand. Realizing the potential growth for quality steering system supply, Harold Leese and Commander Kent formed a partnership and created Cam Gears as the marketing and design arm of George Kent's steering business. Within months, Harold Leese won the first major order for the business, the total supply of an upgraded Bishop-type steering system, complete with a steering column for Morris motors and the new bullnose platform. Within 10 years, this partnership continually redesigned and improved the Bishop cam and lever steering system and produced over 500,000 gears for Morris motors and the bullnose favourite. The George Kent Cam Gears partnership proved so successful that the company were now supplying to virtually all of Britain's manufacturers, and expansion plans were needed to cope with continuing demand. By arrangement with the Industry Department of the Board of Trade, Kent's inspected several factories available in South Wales. They liked the metal-clad factory at Resolven in the Neath Valley. It was the right size and had a fine record of achievement, and a community with a reputation of supporting a hard-working workforce. The tooling up of Resolven's operations began in July 1946, and 3 months later, production began. From these small beginnings in 1946 of producing 300 gears a week at Resolven for Morris, within 3 years, output had raised to over 3,000 per week. And by 1950, after a period of tough quality testing at Cowley, Resolven secured additional orders for the supply of the Morris minor platform. During this period, Cam Gears designers were about to revolutionize the steering gears industry with their latest innovation, the rack and pinion steering system. Then came an opportunity which was to have tremendous impact on Resolven's future growth. Alec Isigonis, the great British designer, was finalizing the design of his latest innovation, the minicar, and came down to Resolven to test a lightweight rack and pinion design that Cam Gears engineers had proposed to him 3 years earlier. He knew that this design, if re-engineered into his new car, would change the total road-holding response and stability of traditional systems, and therefore included this lightweight design into his latest prototype.
On a disused airfield converted into a grueling test track, prototype Baby Austins were put through preliminary tryouts. Rack and pinion steering gave them a 30-foot turning circle, very handy for parking. BMC insist on the most searching tests before putting a new model into the hands of the public. And the road tests go unremittingly on, weaving through boot-laced byways in Britain and blazing along the interminable ribbon of a German autobahn. No motorist in his senses would flog a car the way these test drivers thrashed the new baby prototypes, deliberately. 66 miles an hour, 70, and faster. 72, 3, 4, 75 miles an hour. Surprising the lives out of the motorists they whipped past.
After satisfying Alec Isigonis' quality controls, Resolven secured its own first important order, the total supply of rack and pinion gears for Austin and Morris's Mini platform. The rest of this story is now history. The Mini was the first successful revolutionary small car built in Britain. Its road holding and steering performance was an instant success, outhandling the rest of European production modules at the time.
Isigonis was a very innovative engineer, and I take my hat off to him. It was a brilliant design. The company were involved through Cam Gears, who designed the rack and pinion. Although we've been producing rack and pinion previously, it is a much heavier, substantial gear. The Mini rack and pinion was a lot lighter, and the first of its kind, the first mass-produced rack and pinion.
Rack and pinion production for the Mini started at Resolven in 1959, with an initial demand of about 300 gears a week. But the success of Mini's road-holding performance created a growing interest in rack and pinion steering, and within months, Resolven received orders from other vehicle manufacturers of the day, adding Vauxhall's new platforms to their already impressive list of customers. The 1st of April 1960 was no ordinary April Fool's Day at Resolven, but George Kent decided with Cam Gears to reconstitute the business and hand over ownership to Cam Gears, and so completing the aims and ambitions of Harold Leese and his fellow founder members. Resolven was again retooled, and an expansion plan for a 5-year development strategy was implemented to produce up to 45,000 gears per week. There was only one problem: investment. The company knew they had the orders, but if they failed to produce the numbers required and at the right price, they would lose their leadership position. In 1965, the leading American automotive company, TRW, acquired an interest in Cam Gears. TRW understood Cam Gear's potential and were prepared to back the investments needed for Resolven to consolidate and enhance its leadership positions within design and manufacture, both its power and manual gears. However, as an independent company, there were obviously reservations.
Having been a privately owned company for many years, most of the people were quite concerned, apprehensive, felt that they were being swallowed by one of these big American conglomerates that everyone had read about. That didn't prove to be the case, and I think we all realized quite soon afterwards that this was a major opportunity for us.
Not only that, TRW now had the in with the big manufacturers. The Ford Motor Company appeared with the Escort. A company had let the Escort down, the design and manufacture that gear. They came to Cam Resolven and said, look, here are the drawings, can you make us an Escort gear? The tool room here made that gear for Ford, and Ford were delighted. So then Ford North America started to take an interest, again because of TRW. So you're ending up now into the early 70s, where we started manufacturing gears for the North American market. And the famous one was the Pinto.
And Ted Coleman and Wyndham Lewis met all the unions. And he wanted to break all the demarcation line. And who came down was Douglas Lease to negotiate. And they spent 2 hours and they left us and they came back. And Douglas Lease said, there's 2 and 6 an hour for you, he said. £5 a week pay rise. Everybody in the room nearly collapsed. He nearly collapsed. And he said, well, what's the... I want to go into North America, he said. And I want to build the Pinto. You build the Pinto for me, he said, and I'll give you £5 a week. And he gave us 2 and 6 an hour. And every factory in the area, from the Steel Company of Wales to the Metal Box, BP, all Irwin, everywhere you could think of was ringing Cam Gears to find out is it right till you have 2 and 6 an hour. Do you remember it, Ted?
Well, the North American contract with the Pinto was such an outstanding uplift of production that really I've got to take my hat off today to the people in Resolven, how they responded to that. And the day I left, we were doing 45,000 a week.
During the early 80s, with fierce Japanese competition around the corner, continual improvements and cost reduction strategies were ongoing, and the threat of diminishing manual rack and pinion demand was a long-term threat to Resolven's future. Resolven had the capacity, and the Clevedon plant had the expertise and experience of power gears. To be competitive, TRW's steering gear manufacture would need to be centralised in one location for the development of its own new platform of power gears.
Well, the significant milestone has to be the transfer of the power steering from Clevedon. Unfortunately, what was Clevedon's loss was our major gain. Not as it just saved this plant, but it's actually helped us to grow.
When you move into we moved into the power, there were a lot more care points within the manufacture of power, not just in the assembly area, but in the machining area, where you were using ground finishes, closer tolerances, so the care factors were that much more. And I think we've gone through a period of training and gone through a cultural change to reach where we are today.
So we've now got to a stage, I think, whereby we are now producing one of the most competitive steering gears as far as performance, and with further developments over the next 3 or 4 years, I can see us being in a position where we've not only maintained that advantage, but I believe that we will be the best that there is in the world. So Resolven will be really world class, and that's the vision.
As far as the customers are concerned, it's reflected in our customer base. We have 5 key players in the automotive industry that we service. Honda set up a new factory in Swindon, that's our newest customer, and they gave us the business. We had to prove that we had a superior product with a good price, able to deliver on time. Nissan up in the northeast, we're 100% supplier for the 2 vehicles they manufacture there, the Primera and the Micra. And again, it's a result of us adapting some of their practices, which have come from Japan and other areas, and they have helped us by coming along and showing us some of the better practices that we didn't have in place, and we've been happy to work with them to incorporate them into our practices here.
Maintaining leadership in today's tough economic climate with world-class vision will without doubt be a continual challenge for TRW Steering Systems Limited, and a challenge that will require products, processes and people to work in perfect harmony. A synergy, if you like. At TRW's Centre of Manufacturing Excellence in Resolven, how will we measure that synergy for the future? And how will we approach the new challenges and opportunities that tomorrow will certainly bring?
Really, the future of this factory is going to be very reminiscent of its past. All of the changes, which were the crucial ingredient for our past success, will be needed in the future. But it's a future that we have planned. We use our policy deployment plan as a roadmap to take us forward into the next century. And when I look at that roadmap, there are three things which I see. I see major changes in our lean production techniques. Today you see many of them around the factory. In 5 years from now you'll see many more. A core theme for our business. I also see changes in the way in which we manage our customers with customer-focused teams. We've started this today, and again you will see ever-increasing presence of this customer individuality in our business. And finally, our future will be successful through our products. Products which are innovative, may be completely changing the face of steering yet again, as we did with rack and pinion at the end of the 50s. We have put together multi-skilled groups of engineers, quality, production control people, all focused on supporting one customer, so that they can provide for that customer the exact service which he requires. What we've done here is we have aligned our business with the business process of that customer. This will grow in our business, and it will enable us to have a competitive edge over our competition, who see themselves still as mass producers rather than lean producers for individual customers. As far as our products are concerned, we have already developed and launched this year what we consider to be the ultimate extension of the rack and pinion hydraulic powered steering gear. We've developed that product from our experience of over 50 years in manufacturing rack and pinion, and we've gone back to the base concepts to come up with the purest steering gear. As far as electronic steering is concerned, it is going to be the cornerstone of our future success of our factory here in Resolven. It is a product which we're going to bring to the marketplace with the help of TRW, who have already spent over £100 million in research and development. And it's a product that we intend to bring to the marketplace and bring it into production with the assistance of our suppliers and our employees here in Resolven, and recognising that here in Resolven we have the commitment and backing from the local community, who through things like the launch of the supplier park here next door are guaranteeing the success of our business now and in the future.
Resolven will become a key player in the automotive industry. Not only is it Wales's first dedicated supplier park, but the first of its kind in the UK.
Bringing your suppliers close to you is the step that follows making the significant improvements in manufacturing in the plant. And so this is a logical next step for TRW.
We're really excited about the supplier park. I mean, the benefits of having the suppliers right next door so that the delivery is a lot easier, just in time, through the new road, is going to be immeasurable. It's really going to be first class.
What we're doing here now is marking the beginning of this great supplier park, which the agency is very proud to have played a major part in, and very much looking forward to going on playing a major part in, working with TRW to bring in the suppliers and make this park a real centre for the Welsh automotive industry. So without more ado, I'll now unveil the plaque.
Well, in the auto industry, everybody's been improving their own plants, but the next stage, of course, is for each of the plants to supply the other plants down the chain more tightly. And to do that, you really need to be as close as possible. So actually having your key second-tier suppliers next to you is going to be critical to make the next leap beyond simply the in-factory improvements. When you can accumulate all of those gains down a supply chain, then the customer is going to notice some significant benefits. So being close is the future.
Today certainly has been a historic occasion for TRW, not just for this plant, but for TRW as a whole. TRW is a multinational, global corporation. We have always prided ourselves that we are composed of a large number of different units, and this one particularly is one of the crown jewels in TRW's crown. It's just an outstanding example of people who have taken the trouble to understand themselves, to understand where they're going, to understand their customers, and they're doing something about it. Now we are facing at this point in steering a complete industry change in which we are going from the current standard hydraulic to electrical. This plant probably is one of the most capable to recognize how they have to change and how they have to adapt. The electric steering we expect to be a very, very large portion of TRW's business. We expect it to grow over the next 10 years by at least a factor of 2 in total volume of business. This plant here will be a central plant for the production of electric steering systems. It will mean a lot of change, but this plant is up to it.